Good morning, everyone gathered here today. On behalf of the Center for Justice Through Technology, Vinayaka Mission's Law School, I, Srinidhi, along with my friend Saromita, extend a warm welcome to our third CJT event on the theme of Discourses on Digitalization of Courts.
To commence our event, I kindly request all of you to raise for the Tamil Thai Valthu.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் மதனமென திகழ்வரத கண்டனிதில் இக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு திரை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம்பியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
I now invite the dignitaries on the dais to inaugurate the event by lighting the lamp.
Thank you. Vinayaka Mission's Law School is established under the Vinayaka Mission's Research Foundation, which is a deemed university. The law school, under a mentorship agreement, is being mentored by O.P. Jindal Global University, which is an institution of eminence. With a commitment to explore the ever-evolving dynamic intersection between law and technology, the law school has established the Center for Justice Through Technology.
Aligning with this vision, the Center's inaugural lecture on digitalization of courts, experiences from the bench, was delivered by the Hon'ble Justice Dr. Muralidhar, former Chief Justice of the High Court of Odisha.
Justice Muralidhar's insights on the successful digitalization of the court system in Odisha were invaluable, showcasing initiatives such as e-libraries, e-Seva Kendra, video conferencing, and establishing a center for judicial archives and record room digitalization. The efforts by Justice Muralidhar have spearheaded a remarkable shift towards a paperless, accessible, and a transparent legal system in the country.
Building upon its success and in the spirit of advancing the dialogue on digitalization, the Center organized its second discourse on digitalization of courts, experiences from the bar. In this panel discussion, leading senior advocates share their insights on digitalization.
Today, in continuation of these discourses on digitization, we are presenting to you a third lecture on digitalization of courts, experiences from Kerala, wherein we are extremely honored to have with us Honorable Justice A Muhamed Mustaque. Justice Mustaque has played a pivotal role in the digitalization journey within the Kerala judiciary.
So, we are looking forward to learning from you, sir. I now request Dr. Anand Padmanabhan, Dean, Vinayaka Mission's Law School, to welcome Honorable Justice Mustaque with a small token of appreciation.
I now request Group Captain R. Vijay Kumar, retired, BSM Executive Director of Madras Management Association, to welcome and present a small token of appreciation to our chief guest. May I now request Captain Anthony Julian to felicitate Captain R. Vijay Kumar, Executive Director of MMA.
Thank you, sir. Now, I invite Dr. Anand Padmanabhan, our Dean, for welcoming this august gathering.
Thank you, Srinidhi and Savamita. Honorable Justice Muhamed Mustaque, sitting judge of the Kerala High Court, Mr. Anthony Julian, advocate, Madras High Court and Supreme Court of India, and convener of the steering committee for our Center for Justice Through Technology, distinguished members of the bar and the bench, my faculty colleagues, and of course, our wonderful event partners from the Madras Management Association, including its head, Group Captain, retired Vijay Kumar, and of course, all my dear students, because finally, all these events, the core stakeholder for whom we do this is really the next generation. When my colleagues were lighting the lamp, I was thinking really that there are very few things that now technology cannot do, and lighting the lamp is possibly one of those few things left. Because just today morning, on the way here, I saw in the Hindu newspaper, Nova, a humanoid, is helping students in a government school in Punalur in Kerala, addressing their queries, because all the textbooks have been uploaded in PDF format. So I think, the limit of what technology can do is really getting pushed day by day, because the capabilities are getting much bigger and better. So in that regard, we couldn't really think of anyone better than Justice Mustaque to share his perspectives on how Kerala has been at the forefront of this digitization story. Of course, as we know, law has typically had its own challenges when it comes to path dependency, in the language of an academic, right? There is a lot of inertia when it comes to shifting from the paths that have been trodden. And part of why we decided to create the Center for Justice Through Technology at Vinayaka Mission's Law School is to enable, in many ways, that the next generation of lawyers think a little differently about what they do, about the kind of work we do, the processes that we have been following, as Justice Mustaque pointed out in the morning, for the last 200 or more years, right? What are the ways in which we can adapt? So in that regard, I'm very happy to also mention that Vinayaka Mission's Law School was set up with this very vision of being a fourth generation law school. By that, what we mean is, when we think about legal education in the country today, there is tremendous focus around supplying good quality lawyers at the top. And I think the national law schools, some of the private law schools, including our own mentor, Jindal Global Law School, have done a wonderful job in the Supreme Court, in the high courts. But where there is a clear supply gap when it comes to providing access to justice in a meaningful manner, in a professional manner, is at the lower courts. So we felt that there is need for a legal education model that emphasizes, that first of course acknowledges this challenge and emphasizes the change in pedagogy that's required to enable learners from across various parts of each state to provide high quality access to justice at the lower levels. Of course, as an institution based in Tamil Nadu, we have chosen to begin that journey in Tamil Nadu. Many of our students come from the rural parts of Tamil Nadu. Many of them are learning, English while they are learning the law. And so we have actually emphasized a lot on what we call the bilingual legal education paradigm. As an institution, I would really go out on a limb and say that we are a pioneer in doing this, in ensuring that no learner is left behind because of language limitations. And guess what has come to our aid very significantly in doing that, in addition to, of course, the wonderful faculty colleagues I have who serve in this mission? Technology. Today, translation technologies and other kinds of learning tools are at an advanced stage of evolution where we can actually use technology to personalize the training for each learner. In fact, Vinayaka Mission's Law School is currently in the journey towards having an AI tool which is going to go deeper into this problem of how learners need a different approach rather than the one-size-fits-all lecture model that we have been using for centuries, right? Speak about path dependency, we academics are not far behind. So it is really with these ideas that we have also started our centers of excellence. And in particular, the Center for Justice through Technology has played a very important role in developing thought leadership around this very question of how we can enhance access to justice. Now, this is a very complex problem and it has multiple layers to it, some of which we will, go through today during the course of Justice Mustaque's lecture. There is the whole piece around creating alternate and online dispute resolution mechanism which take out disputes from the court system, the formal court system, and use technology in many ways to enable that. Then there is, of course, questions to do with improving processes within the formal court system. And then finally, there is a big question about what legal education can do to support all of this, and that's part of our mission at VMLS. So without further ado, I would like to now request my colleague, Advocate Anthony Julian, to speak more about our Center for Justice through Technology. I think you would like to probably introduce him formally and then we can begin. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Advocate Anthony Julian, practicing advocate at the Supreme Court of India and Madras High Court. He is also the convener of the Steering Committee for Center for Justice through Technology. I request Mr. Julian to speak a few words about the journey of the Center for Justice through Technology and deliver the opening remarks.
Thank you. Hon'ble Justice Muhamed Mustaque, Dean Anand Padmanabhan, my good friend Mr. George Podan Pudikot, friends and colleagues from the bar, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to give the introductory remarks before an extremely interesting talk by one of the most tech-forward and visionary judges in India today. The Center for Justice through Technology was set up with a mission to train students to search the ever-expanding boundaries of modern information and communication technology for answers to everyday problems plaguing our justice system. The phrase justice system not only includes access to courts, but the larger system of legal literacy, awareness and access to constitutionally guaranteed rights, interaction with local government, rights as citizens, all in the context of social justice, economic justice, and political justice. The Discourses on Digitalisation lecture series was designed with the idea to encourage open discussion on the digital transformation of Indian courts. Exactly a year back, we started the series with a lecture by a visionary judge, Justice Muralidhar, who spoke about the journey in transforming the Odisha judiciary in his capacity as the Chief Justice of the Odisha High Court. We followed that with a panel discussion with some eminent senior practitioners from the bars of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. In continuation of that theme, today's talk by a visionary judicial leader, Justice Muhamed Mustaque, achieves special significance as he describes the experience in digitizing and digitalizing courts in Kerala a state long known for its high human development index. There is, of course, no longer a need to justify digitizing our court systems. The positive effects are here for all to see. Even though there is still a long way to go and digitization is yet to trickle down completely to the grassroots, and adoption so far itself has seen a lot of advantages. Speaking purely from personal experience, it has benefited me as a law practitioner. I am able to appear in courts in Chandigarh, Bangalore, Delhi, in Chennai, all in the same day, sitting in the comfort of my office in Chennai. This, of course, directly translates to savings in the form of time and energy for me, and of course, reduced legal expenses for litigants, my clients. Suffices to say that digitization will make justice delivery faster, cheaper, more transparent, and citizen-friendly. Digitizing the judiciary has its own set of challenges, the biggest being one of mindset. Our profession is loath to adopt modern technology, and changes often happen in a glacial pace. When email communication had become the norm world over, it took the law almost a decade to agree to adopt e-service as an acceptable way of service of court documents. Of course, COVID was a huge catalyst in this regard, and visionary justices like Justice Mustaque have used existing technology to smoothen our court system. As of now, technology has been used to grease the wheels of the justice system as it currently exists. But considering the leaps and bounds with which technology has developed, it is only a matter of time before the way justice is dispensed itself will change significantly. And that is where the visionary leadership of judges like Justice Mustaque becomes vital as we navigate the technological challenges over the next few years and establish systems and mechanisms that will change the course of our justice system. I'm sure we are all eager to hear firsthand from the judge on the transformative journey of digitization of courts in Kerala. So without further ado, it is my honor to welcome Justice Mustaque for his much awaited speech. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm deeply honored to now introduce the keynote speaker, Honorable Justice Mr. A Muhamed Mustaque, to our gathering. After completing his undergraduate studies, Justice Mustaque earned a master's in Space and Telecommunication Law from Paris University. Justice Mustaque has also completed Master of Laws from the Mahatma Gandhi University, India. Justice Mustaque has also studied courses on private international law at the Hague Academy of International Law, electronic commerce and intellectual property at the World Intellectual Property Organization. Additionally, Justice Mustaque undertook complex civil litigation training under the International Bar Association, also trained mediation and negotiation training with Jonathan Dingle, Director of the European Training Team in the UK on mediation and negotiation, and received training in the mediation under the Mediation and Conciliation Project Committee of the Supreme Court of India. With regard to digitalization, Justice Mustaque undertook a groundbreaking initiative of establishing the 24/7 open and networked court in Kollam district, Kerala. This court has been established under his visionary leadership as the chairman of the committee in charge of computerization of the Kerala High Court. Without further ado, it's my privilege to welcome Honorable Justice Mustaque to the gathering and to share his experience on digitization. Welcome, sir. And also, may I request all of you to be ready with your questions in writing, as the Q&A session will immediately follow the lecture.
Warm good morning to all. It's quite thrilled to have the presence of Senior Advocate Murari, Kalyan, and all other students and others here. It's a mixed audience. Many of them may not look, may not like the perspective of a judge from the from the angle of judiciary. Rather, you would like to have a different thought, because everybody might have a different interest. So my presentation would be different in the sense it would be a more mixed, maybe liking to all of you who are here. Well, 5 years ago, accidentally, the responsibility came to my shoulder to head a computer committee, quite accidentally. I didn't know that such committee exists in the High Court. Though I became a judge in 2014, January, the E-Committee of the Supreme Court established way back in 2005. So moment responsibility came to my shoulder. I was wondering how can I contribute this? I don't have any much domain expertise in computer. I'm not tech savvy. I'm only judge from bar to bench. That is the only shift I've seen in my life. Then came the COVID. Of course, that's the first thing I realized how important a committee to shape things, the hearing to shape holding schedules and for hearings. But slowly realized there is something inside me. I'm also a good administrator. I'm not boasting that I'm an administrator, because I thought genetically I have a DNA of my father who was a lawyer, but I found I have a DNA of my grandfather who was a businessman in Coimbatore. So I realized there is something a judge has to do in administrative side. And that's where really a problem I realized exactly is happening. Judges do not have an expertise other than the law. They don't have a domain knowledge in technology. But they don't want to allow others to come in. So this is a scenario in India. There may be people like me and Justice Raja and a couple of in every high court. But it is not happening in many places for the obvious reason that they don't have an exposure to other world. So today when I came here, I saw the captain and others of Management Association. The academics here, the lawyers are here, students are here. They come from different walks of life. And this is what exactly we needed. Convergence of mind, of different minds. They need to have a process of dialogue. This is all for our country and society. It is not for the legal profession or the judicial system. This is for our country. We need to realize that this is for our country. So I really appreciate Dr. Ananda Padmanabhan, Nambiar and others, Anthony, George and all, who put their minds and organizing this event. I really congratulate each one of you for this event. Well, Kerala's journey only started. Maybe when you compare it to other states, maybe much ahead. But don't think is Kerala achieved the milestones. Kerala achieved the milestones of laying the foundations. A long way to go. When we started 100% e-filing in state throughout in the district jurisdiction high court, the lawyers quite skeptical. They said, why should we do the e-filing? We'll pay for it. And we can convert physical file to digital file. Why we should do this e-filing on behalf of the court? So many things, the digitization is the first step. Is something which conversion of physical to digital space. Problem with this mindset. Why do we need digitalization? And for this, we need to go back to the history to understand the issues and understand the current, understand the future. If we don't ingrain this thought process in the young minds and others, we will not be able to make any difference in it. People like as a lawyer ask, it's only digitization from physical space to a digital file so that it will be an environment friendly and court will find more space because there are many of the court struggles with the keeping files so that they will feel that there is space. To understand the importance of this topic, we need to understand our society and evolving dynamics in the society. If you go back to history, civilization faced a lot of challenges, different level, from Stone Age to modern era. It started with the invention of agriculture. People start to inhabit in a very located places which were more conducive for cultivations or augment of agriculture. The civilization appears to have started with the invention of agriculture. From that age onwards till the modern age, we face different challenges. But all the society lived up to those challenges in different way. Historically, if you introspect from different area, from the period of Greek, they initiated dialogues and find out what kind of society we needed, what kind of law we needed, what kind of justice we needed. Period of reasoning, enlightenment in Europe, rejecting theocracy, and they want to create a new society with naturalist ideas and reasoning. This is how a lot of philosophy came during that period after the fall of the Roman Empire. A philosopher like Bentham, Kant, Rousseau, many you might be learning in the law schools. The age of reasoning. So they had a dialogue with the society and find out what kind of society we needed. The principles of moral reasoning, how it is evolved in the society, because all want to have a good society around, based on human values. They try to define justice. They try to define what is a right and what is a wrong. If you look at background of principles of moral reasoning, you'll find that answers. So everybody tried to define the justice in context, in the era in which they lived, in the society in which they lived, and based on the challenge they faced. Every society responded to those challenges. And they were able to overcome those challenges. In our tradition, in the past, we tried to define our justice based on the principle of dharma. The Abrahamic religion tried to define it its own way, based on some divine principles. In Europe, in the 16th century, after the collapse of the Roman Empire, tried to, based on the age of reasoning, based on reasoning, that we call it the period of age of reasoning and enlightenment. But today, we face an enormous challenges. The past society did not face this kind of challenges. They respond to those challenges because all is related to human relationship. And they could define how mankind is facing existential challenges. We need to realize these challenges posed to us none other than the technology. We shaped the technology, we shaped the tools, but the same tools is now attempting to shape us. Challenges between human and on the other side is a machine. If you look at all the principles of law evolved in the centuries, all related to the human content. Because the human has a subconscious mind, and he can use his intelligent diligence to define. But today, the challenge is posed by technology. As a society, are we not bound to respond to those challenges? How and what matters? What kind of principles of law we attempt to fix to face these challenges? None of us are having expertise. Europe is trying to fix this issue through the artificial intelligence enactment, European Parliament. Maybe they will attempt to, at a certain level. But how far and what extent? Where is the jurisprudence? Where is the philosophy? These are all some questions to be answered by next generation, I would say, at least young generations. That's what I said, we face an existential crisis. In that process, what challenges faced by judiciary is minuscule, but larger society is likely to face. It is lawyers that shaped every society. The philosopher like Aristotle or Plato may not have an expertise or a background of legal background, but their discourse on justice shape the society. Principles of moral reasoning or the Bentham or Kant, Kelsen, John Locke, all might have shaped those societies because their ideas, where are they? Those philosophers for us now shape. Where are they? We need to think aloud. Technology is not a very technical aspect. Technology is shaping political orders, social, economic orders. And it permeates and affects every walk of our life. So new order is evolving. And that is the greatest challenge we all face. It is not I have an answer. It is not that everybody would have an answer to it, but everybody should have a thought process for that. It is that thought process we can ignite new ideas and shape the societies. It is not something that's going to affect lawyers alone, or judiciary alone. It is affecting the entire ecosystem governed by the constitutional norms. It can have an impact on democracy. It can have an impact on our society. It can have an impact on our cultural practice and traditions. It can have impact in all walk of our life. So first thing we need to think, how do you need to respond to these challenges, whatever the way we can. I think this kind of dialogue and platform will generate that thought process. If we start today, there will be people to take it forward, and that's what we needed. I think the idea of an establishing such center in your university is very good, in the sense that at least it would create a platform for it. Lawyers cannot solve the entire issue unless they have some idea on technology. The technology people cannot solve all the issues unless they have an idea on the law. So technology we cannot ignore now because it already is part of that network. There is no escape for us. The boundaries, the political boundaries of the country is slowly withering away, in the sense we are otherwise, the entire world has been networked. We are all connected to each other. And the loss of people, Rawls says, there is another legal order where he speaks about a kind of people who look upon the norms and values that binds each other rather than he and his state. So slowly we are moving to a different world. Our life would be affected. Some take some other decision somewhere. And the giants, the technology giants can operating some other space or some other place or some other country can have an impact on our life. They can go to the extent of impacting our democratical values. After all, the law stands for human values. So my youngsters here, we need to think. Don't look at this technology as mere related to your profession or legal profession or judiciary or some other space where you relate to it. It will have a greater impact on our life in the future. 50 years ago, 100 years ago, we are in a position to predict what would happen in the next 50 years or after 100 years. Today, when I stand here, I'm not in a position to predict what would happen next 5 years. We never heard about ChatGPT or generative AI before. We thought all computer can do the mathematical formula of calculations, but it has gone to such a level where it can make all what you want. So reached at a level We are sure that it will not replace lawyers and judges, but it will replace those who do not use. That's for sure. It will not replace lawyers and judges, but it will definitely replace those who do not use. So it is that background we have to look things. And this is where exactly the problem. We are not able to comprehend the changes we want to bring. Whatever the attempt now is being done, in the sense of being carried out, is to fix the issues now in what exists in the physical space. Because we have a very limited space in the sense we are not policy makers for the country. We try to fix existing issues in the affairs of the judiciary. And that level we are attempting it. But we need to create a new digital ecosystem for judiciary that can bring a far-reaching impact in our society. That has to be started with some clean state platform or blank state platform. We need to focus that level. That is the reason don't see, there is no visibility in existing system, because we try to fix things based on the physical environment. Therefore, you don't find much the visibility in the activities, whether being initiated by Madras High Court or some other place. Obvious reason that you are not gone for the transformation. The technology is a great enabler. It's also transformative. As for the access to justice, whatever the way we can describe it. So young generation, I again appeal to you. It may be difficult for you once you step out from law schools, because you will follow a stereotype. You may enter into the office of a lawyer. You may enter into corporate organization or law firms, and you tend to become a stereotype. But you have to start thinking now to create a different world. There is enough and more space for you. Judiciary is no longer a monopoly of the mainstream justice system. It has moved to a marketplace, I would say. It becomes so service. That is, if you look at the structure of changes have been evolved from 1996 after the amendment of Arbitration and Conciliation Act and so on, even coming to the mediation bill, you'll find judiciary is no longer a monopoly of, justice adjudication is no longer a monopoly of mainstream justice system. It also gone to a marketplace, and it's become more service. And that can be more effective if you use technology in proper sense. And there is a greater opportunity for younger generations. How and what manner you use, it's up to you. That's what I said, you need to think before you get out of law schools. Well, why do we need digitization? This is what I said. Why do we need digitization? Unless this thought process comes to your mind that we need to create a new digital ecosystem for judiciary, you will not understand the purpose of digitization. It is not a mere conversion of a paper file to the digital file. It is more than that. This is only first step. It is only a starting point, digitization. Once papers are digitized, you will be in a position to create a new digital ecosystem. If lawyers are able to understand this, they will be more cooperative of it, because no one has told about creating a new digital ecosystem for judiciary. It can make wonders. All this require artificial intelligence, machine learning. We all need for this digitization as first step. And there is a difference between digitization and digitalization. Maybe, I don't know, I don't want to play this video, it will take time. Digitalization, digital transformation, you go, the youngsters, I would appeal to you, go to YouTube and find out what is exactly it is. That's what I said, digitization is the first step. Digitalization is creating a new environment and new ecosystem. Now, adjudicatory philosophy is always related to dogmas and doctrines. We have philosophers like H.L. Hart and his own disciple Dawkins. They have a different approach on adjudication philosophies. But future of adjudication, it may not be called as an adjudication. Future of justice system likely to shift in certain extent emancipation. From dogmatic interpretation to emancipation. How that happened? Through the process itself. The dogma is related to a substantial part of the law, but process itself would enable the parties to have the justice. I just compare an example of the motor accident claims. We have all settled principles of law laid down by Apex Code. If the data can be fetched from the hospitals, police, insurance, all is now available. The system will itself find out and calculate the compensation. It will, without aid of a human intervention. There are many. The smart contracts, it works on its own without intervention of human. So there will be clear classification, categorization in the legal system. The justice being delivered through as an emancipation and through the process itself. And others by interpreting principles of law, which would be quite dogmatic in the sense it would require some sort of education. So there will be a clear shift in this. There will be lawyers known as blockchain lawyers and artificial intelligence lawyers in the future. One is ensuring its credibility and having a supervision on the data and helps a party to get justice. The other class of lawyer would be litigator lawyers on the conventional sense. So there will be a clear shift in this in the process. That is already happening through the smart contracts. But to happen this, what do you require? Digitization. It is not something impossible because it's all possible. Today we have insurance company, all the data is available with them. Hospitals records are available. The Vahan which is a database of all motor cabs or water vehicles. All this is possible. It is not far. So this create a new ecosystem in the sense it will allow party to have grievance its own. Why so much of disputes happening now in our system? Because there is no communication between different stakeholders. The land records will be with revenue department. Some other department handles something. If all system comes together, why should people go to court and litigate? Because everybody knows where he stands in the ecosystem. Because of lack of communication between different stakeholders often results to disputes. And unaware of the issues, they come to High Court and under 226 and files a case. Then they get a response because the other department had not provided the details and that is the reason it's being done. Those kind of litigation would disappear in the future because when entire system is interlinked, become interoperable. So parties will get justice through the process itself. Greatest challenge we faced in the past, acquiring knowledge. And we consider those who have knowledge as the powerful. Is it not? We browsed the senior counsel Murari and all year. They would browse the volumes of different AER, SCC those times, before SCC and AER came online. If you go to the office of a lawyer, you would find the low bound volumes. We acquired knowledge through browsing millions of papers. And those days we considered, when I was a young lawyer, we considered those are the best powerful lawyer because they have a knowledge. If you ask any citation, they will give you provided citations. Today, I don't think any youngsters would approach a lawyer, senior lawyer, to know about citations because all knowledge comes to you in the form of information. There is big difference between information and knowledge. Of course, that is not a topic to here discuss. Knowledge is available in the form of information at fingertip. But future of young generations depend upon not based on the knowledge, but how we are able to generate ideas. Knowledge, yes. But if you're standing on the report, look at that picture. It becomes no use for you unless you generate ideas. Look at the current history, how the Steve Jobs made the difference. Youngsters may not be knowing what is a smart, because they are quite familiar with the smartphone, because it was when introduced way back in 90s or 92s, it was only a tool for a normal conversation or a telecom conversation. But today, we call it as smartphone. Those times, of course, internet exists. But his idea made all the difference. All that exists and bringing into one platform made all the difference in the world. Some of the phone makers or makers of the phone disappeared immediately on launch of the smartphones. That is a great lesson for us. If you look at the disappearance of Kodak, once we are all related for photography, youngsters may not be knowing it Kodak. All of a sudden it disappeared. That is a great lesson for all of us. Unless we adapt ourselves with the time, we'll also vanish and disappear in the time. Yuval Harari says there will be a class called useless class, not because of lack any skills. The driver who used a cab, he was working as a cab driver. All of a sudden, find that all the roads are flooded with driverless cars. So he became useless, and that given a point of time, there is likelihood of some of us may become useless because unless we adapt ourselves to the challenges or with the time. That's a great lesson for us. How the cab operator was it? Ola, or what is it? Uber, without owning a single automotive, operates the largest automotive in the world, providing a one platform. Airbnb, all these are great example for us. They made use of the knowledge and generated as an idea. The young generation, you need to think about it. Knowledge, of course, is a power. But beyond that, what is important for all of us is how good we are in generating ideas. And you can survive and you can create your space in the future only based on how competent you are in generating ideas. So there is a great shift from power of knowledge to power of ideas. This again, I referred that how this smart contract works. You can see, you can read from this without intervention of, this is how the justice being delivered. There being no human intervention, the system itself will do. Some accident occurs, some other place, system will calculate. Now coming back to the code. I just try to flip through many slides in the sense we can go for a dialogue rather than monologue lecture from here. I realized first thing, and when I started, working on this computers, programs and initiative, there is a mental block for everyone to accept it, especially in the courtroom. This is what the starting point for every litigating lawyer, I believe. The mental block starts from the courtroom. Our ambience and environment are created for physical space. If you look at the arguments in the Supreme Court, how crowded people are there thronging in. Some may carry iPad, some may not. And there is a mental block in everyone. So every litigant lawyer, I think, need to have emotionally connect to the space. If you go to a temple, you will have emotional attachment to that space. If you go to the airport, even if you want to travel to Bombay, if you are opting railway station, you will have a different emotion when you are in the railway station. Similarly, if you go to an airport, you will have a different emotions. So space is very important for a human. So we need to create our physical ambience which align with digital ambience. So lawyers should think the courtrooms should be designed in such. That's what I said is a long-term process. You cannot bring changes. Many might be thinking, why can't judiciary change all things using technology and all? It's not an easy task for us. This is one challenge I feel. So we also start working on how to create ambience for the, so that moment you come there, you know that I have to use whatever the digital gadgets, iPad or whatever desktop, laptop. Otherwise you don't feel, because you find a spread out desk and you come with the files, because it is not, very friendly with using laptops and so mentally we need to start with this. We need to have an emotional connection with the physical space and aligning with the digital space. This is what we are trying to do in Kerala. I designed a courtroom with this idea, but we are working on it. This is a recent achievement. I think they want to. We thought initially everything can be done by the committee and the people working with us. We relied initially on National Informatics and the NAC, but they were not in a position to deliver. Cash-strapped state like Kerala, it's very difficult, but government is quite supportive in spite of fact that they lacked funds. So they provided 5 contract employees. We start working on our software. We interacted with the lawyers. We interacted with the clerks. We interacted with the registry officials. We interacted with all stakeholders. We interacted with the police, all the stakeholders, and we try to develop a software which should be user-friendly. Even again, user-friendly is very contextually relevant to understand what is a user, because there are different users. There may be judges or lawyers with tech savvy. There are judges who are not very technically or technologically skilled. Again, registry officials. We are now reached a level of scrutinizing our files by machine. We initially started with the bail, now is the writ petitions. It's machine itself scrutinize a number. There is no human intervention. Even if you file at midnight, it will scrutinize and number your case. we have gone much far ahead of other courts in terms of those things, but still we're not able to make a paperless court. Obvious reason that we find humanly impossible for a judge to handle it, look at the desktop of looking at 200 and 300 cases and browsing this file. We thought were it necessity to have a voice to text so that a judge sits in an armchair and look at exhibit P3, para 3, para 5. So it should reach at that level. So again, we thought bring down the cases, number of cases being listed. A maximum a judge can do in a day, to my mind, is 20 to 30 cases at the maximum, not beyond that. But cases are listed around 200 and 300 cases in a day. So again, we are thinking in a lot intelligent listing, and we made amendments to the rule. We are bringing a new judicial district judge and a cadre who will take care of all routine matters, service of notice, etc. Because I conducted a survey in my own court. I found out of 5 hours, maximum productive hours of a judge is 2.5 to 3 hours. The rest of 2 hours we spend adjournment, imprisonment, service of notice. If you look at, if a judge spent 3 minutes for such 100 cases, how much time? So we are looking in terms of changing those patterns so that we won't only list those cases which can be heard or required for passing an interim order. So that if it is listed 30, 40 cases, no doubt a judge will be able to spend at least 4.5 hours a productive time for that. That's what our thinking. So amendments have gone to the government, and then we want to use AI. Even a judge who may not have any expertise, he should sit in an armchair and speak to the system, and system should generate its files and flip through. Yeah, should be able to flip through this. So we want looking at, we are not boasting that we should have a paperless court, because a paperless court is, of course, ultimately have to come, but we want to change entire ecosystem working around with us. But we are also not able to digitize existing file, which is coming around to nearly 2 lakhs. That process is going on. So once that comes, maybe we'll have a more paperless code. This is I can play this video. So we thought we may not, ourselves will not be in a position to make a difference. We want to engage others. So there is an organization called Agami. You might be knowing it. Earlier. This is a paperless court in district, will show that. So we start interacting with outsiders because there are people willing to work for us. This is a recently started check bounce case. So this is the first time in India we engaged gone outside and engaged the people outside. So there is a lot of policy shift to happen in the system. That's as I said, we are very conservative in our policies. We don't want to engage others, civil society organizations and others. We cannot create a magic in the system. We have a limited expertise, so we need to engage. I start speaking on this on point on loud. Maybe some of my brothers also start, but I don't think many of will take it as good in a good sense, because people have a reluctance in our system to accept engagement of others. But this is be done with the support of Honorable Chief Justice, then Chief Justice Justice Chandrachud. Maybe policy will change. I used to tell that the lawyers have their own papers, they print their own and bring file to the court and we scrutinize. Same way, anybody can develop a software. What we need to have an API standards and security, that is all. This is how these people have developed it. A Bangalore-based civil organization. There are maybe many others. Now we also shared API with a young lawyer who is now developing a software for all the lawyers, but with their case management. So if one lawyer is having a case throughout and the state, he can get all those details in his mobile and he can fix things and he will be knowing it, case is over or not. So we need to engage others. That's what the importance of this idea, because they devote a lot of time. We don't have that much of time. So this is very important. I don't know how it will go well with others in the judiciary. Maybe we have started. We have taken a bold initiative for this. This is our own software developed for the district judiciary where we can play. It's now functioning in Trivandrum. My set for Trivandrum. Very exclusive appearing through platform from jail.
Easier. Police has not filed the custody application within 10 days. It's a clear manifestation of the interrogation is not the investigation. So, if the first of the not on 10 first of that is reason the state already that is like that. economic governance. And especially in the laws of law.
രണ്ടായിരത്തി ആറ് കാലയളവിൽ ഞാൻ പൂജപ്പുര പോലീസ് സ്റ്റേഷൻ അഡീഷണൽ സബ് ഇൻസ്പെക്ടർ
5/5/2006 തീയതിയിൽ NDPS ആക്ട് പ്രകാരം
കേസ് രജിസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്ത്
Why? Because this is coming back to judiciary. Three concepts for digital transfer of Indian judicial system. Again, I said as justice is an idea of emancipation. We have a lot of problem when 226, when a Keralaite is fond of marrying a foreigner. The marriage officer or the registering officer would come and say that there is no single certificate. Unless he produce that, we cannot register because foreigner is not a position to produce that he or she is a single. Under Foreign Marriage Act, I believe there is a section 29 where we supposed to have a marriage officer in every country who would verify the single status. Why this is happening? We have a problem with foreign not raised power of attorneys unless it is falls under the Hague Conventions, Possible Conventions. We have a problem in recognizing it. Why do I have this problem? If you use technology, especially distributed ledger technology, in the world over, you can have one single document for marriage. Every entity in network can verify is a single or not. With the support of private international law, it's possible. Why a person who's shipping or consignment, you need to carry all these documents to different. If there is a single system in the world, and if it's having a backing of private international law, and each country agreed to recognize it, it's possible. You know how the cryptocurrency works, and based on the distributed ledger technology. That means all those who in the network can verify credentials. Why do we have power of attorney to legalize again in a country if we can find out that the credibility of the power of attorney is possible? Use distributed ledger technology. That's what we call blockchain. If there is any tampering happens, that will reflect in the network of others. These are all possible. These will be a ready-made solution for. These all will be a ready-made justice for everyone. They need not go to court and fight for their cause. When I was dealing with the Muslims, I saw so many litigations happening in the court under 226. He wants to Dutch woman or American woman or other countries. A marriage registering officer said, no, you produce single status certificate from your country. That would be impossible. So these are the problems we face because of there is no communication between or among different entities and stakeholders. These are all simple solutions for all of us through the technology. But technology with the support of law, it can make a lot of difference. You look how many agencies now involved in developing private international law. Hague. Then there is a ROM called Inauguration, I believe I forgot its name. They were all trying to bring instruments all for intergovernmental recognitions and acknowledgement. That is possible. But who can give support? The lawyers. The technology can make a instrument or technology enable applications, but without support law, it cannot be put into practice. So young minds, you need to think, justice, concept of justice will slowly become a source of emancipation for people. But we need to make those applications. I already mentioned about how it would be useful in current judicial system for adjudicating motor claims disputes, land acquisition cases, where what is involved is statistical data and all supervision of those data to ensure that is genuineness and authenticity. Once that is happened, system itself generate justice to the parties. They need not to wait to formal adjudication by a court. Even mediation is possible using AI. We can advise parties. If you go to a court, this will be a position. If you give them all the data to the system, AI can tell you. There are many software now is in the market. You can predict how a judge would grant a relief or not. So this is possible many in area, so that many of the disputes will not reach to a formal system of adjudication, because parties knowing in advance that where exactly stands based on the precedents and laws. Why should he take the cost of chart the path of litigation for another 10 to 15 years? This is possible, but for that, lawyers and technology will have to sit together and develop ideas. Secondly, the certainty and less human interventions. As a human, we all tend to have our own way of pattern of thinking. Some would say that it's a bias, some would say it's a prejudice, whatever it may be, because it's all perception. There is a difference. Even you find on administrative side, there are a lot of challenges for all of us. Different people would assess different judicial officers in a different way, and likes and dislikes often reflects in that system. So we want to bring more certainty and have less human interventions. When I'm a part of an NCMS committee constituted by Hon'ble Chief Justice of then Chief Justice V.V. Chandrachud, I made a report. And as a part of the report for NCMS, I got a response from all the high courts in India in regard to establishing a court. 99%, 100% the court response saying that they establish new courts either based on a representation made by Bar Association or some political suggestions. Absolutely, there is no scientific study in India for establishing a court. Absolutely, there is no scientific study. So our report highlights the importance to have the using the algorithm to find out whether court is necessary or not. And we need to prioritize national security, social importance, commercial importance, individual importance. And if it crosses an alarming point, then it alerts policymakers and courts that we need to have establish a new court for that litigation. Instead of Bar Association coming with a representation, we need to analyze why is it reaches certain alarming point, or that point, if crosses, then it alerts that we need to establish a court. Similarly, we try to fix the question of areas, how to determine areas. Dr. Anida Sumant was a part of that committee. They could not fix a norm for that areas for the obvious reason that there is no constant called areas, because it depends upon court to court. Some courts are having 1,500 cases, 30,000 cases. Some courts are having only 1,000 cases. So we've sent a solution, said there is no question called areas. We fix the timeline. Algorithm can fix the timeline of cases based on complexity, type of witnesses, nature of witnesses. All that will be taken by algorithm, and system itself fix the timeline. That's what said, if there is a less human intervention, there will be more certainty in the process. And third is a prudent use of human resources. This is very critical for the cash-strapped states like our Kerala and other states. We try to create now the surplus human resources by using technology, and we want to establish more courts based on that. So we recently established 14 digital courts. We said we can generate surplus staff, and based on the surplus staff, government can sanction new posts. So government readily agreed for that. So there would be prudent use. After all, we are dealing with the public money. We have to be careful in spending even one single rupee out of it, and it should see that this public good is served out of it. So this is quite possible. Prudent use of that, and we can establish more and more courts with access we generate through the after automation. Another concept is from centralized to decentralized. Because we have a centralized structure. The High Courts is located in Madras and then Madurai. Supreme Court is located in Delhi. The physical barrier is always a big challenge for all of us. The remoteness of accessing the mainstream of justice is a big challenge for all of us. So we need to move from centralized structure to decentralized structure. This is in a given scenario, but there is another access to justice to those who are millions who have no access to the mainstream justice. Our system still insists English as a formal language, and Constitution also recognizes English as a language. Why should one be compelled to speak in a language which is quite foreign to them? They should be able to speak in their own language and converse. Why should they pay premium for the justice? The technology is a great enabler for that. I don't know whether it's my presentation include a Jugalbandi, and if not there, you can find that Jugalbandi is a support of Microsoft, the OpenAI team has developed it. How the farmer in Rajasthan is able to access the mainstream database to understand what kind of subsidies being provided to them. He just speaks to the phone, it gives all assistance. A person living in the remote village or tribe, why should he travel 100 kilometers to meet a lawyer? System should identify a justice need to reach him. So physical barrier exists, and that deny access to justice for millions of the people in this country. So our aim is to see that people are connected or otherwise disconnected. The technology is a great enabler. They can speak in whichever language, and that will be identified through a different process. We have now legal service authorities functioning in every taluk and every other places. Through them, they can connect to the mainstream justice. And whatever the form of justice to be administered to them, that is quite possible through technology. Again, this blockchain, I've already mentioned how the blockchain operates. It's possible, the testimony, we have issues in Kerala where the testimony and vigilance cases missing in one day. No, all the files have been taken away because it belongs to an IO official. Somehow it's missing, we don't know. Those things would have not happened in the future if it can keep safe custody of all testimony through the network and nobody can tamper it. Blockchain is quite useful for that. This might have, you should find this, how good it is in summarization. This is a recent innovation of Google, Notebook LM. If any judgment, if you want, even Puttaswamy, if you, take and upload it, it will summarize beautifully with no time and it will generate questions. We have reached a level. So anybody, when you go back to home, look at it, notebook alone, and try to upload some of your, whatever that, not necessarily the judgment, even prose, a poem or anything, it will summarize things very beautifully. So we have reached at that level. We need to go to volumes of files and we need to have this. So I'm not showing it because you can go and find out what does a notebook LM do. Even I wanted, even couple of my judgments uploaded. Even I cannot summarize it in that way. The way in which it's summarized, beautiful. And it generates questions. And it can, if you put more and more on questions, it will answer. So it is not possible for you to go to volumes of Puttaswamy or any other lengthy judgment. This kind of tool has become so handy for the lawyers to understand issues. This is where one we want to connect with the people. So this is stationed in Idiki, a mountain terrain district. I think in place. And this has become so handy for all of us. We send it to the Wayanad. So lawyers, they interact with the lawyers in the High Court. This bus went to Wayanad and all the problems, currently stationed at Idiki, where there are a lot of tribal inhabitants, and they go to every week to the tribal place. So legal service authority person will be sitting at the main station, and this bus, apart from driver, there is a PLV volunteer. They interact and they can have a direct. Although it's not possible for the people who are living in the remote places to connect to the mainstream, and this has become so handy in Wayanad. Many people throng into this bus. They raise their grievances, that is recorded, and that's when place before the division bench is hearing a public interest litigation related to this. Again, this is all something which we need to take about digital accessibility of many. There are blinds who may not be able to access the digital space. So while developing the application, we have to keep these principles in mind. Web content accessibility guidelines. This would be an inclusive approach. This is a digital public infrastructure convergence of, I'm not playing this video and all because of want of time. I think we're running short of it. We need try to learn about what is a digital public infrastructure, how the different stakeholders can be brought under the one platform, converging different ideas, etc. This will be critical in developing anything. If you look at how the UPI, not that bank provide any service, but someone else is providing the service. So think about, learn how the digital public infrastructure can bring changes to us. It can also bring changes to our system, justice delivery system. This is the greatest example for us. India's UPI revolution. You won't find any similar revolution in other countries. Even a small vendor standing outside with a vegetable cart. He has UPI. We show it and click a button. This amount is paid. This is the Jugalbandi I spoke. I said how this we can play. This is quite critical to make similar things for access to justice to millions of people who do not have access to the mainstream justice. So we need to think about.
मैं एक किसान हूँ। अपने ही गांव में हमारी जमीन है 2 एकड़, उसमें ही हम खेती उगाते हैं। रबी की और खरीफ की दोनों फसलें उगाते हैं, जिसमें गेहूं है, ज्वार है, बाजरा है, तिल्ली है, सरसों है। बट यहाँ मेवात में अंदर बहुत से गांवों में न्यूज़पेपर नहीं पहुंच पाते हैं। ये सरकारी स्कीमें पहुंचती हैं, लेकिन ग्रामीण इलाकों में लोग योजनाओं की स्कीम पहुंच भी नहीं पाती है।
These are all communities living in media dark areas, which means that penetration of traditional media like television and radio is very sparse. There's also literacy challenges, so things like newspapers have a very low access in these areas.
In India, we have 22 constitutionally recognized languages, but apart from that, we have more than 100, almost 120 languages. Being able to provide justice to each and every citizen in their own language, it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity.
Jugalbandi is a chat bot that we built to solve 2 problems. One is this linguistic divide and the technological divide. We collected millions of parallel sentences for machine translation. We collected thousands of hours of data for speech recognition. And then we built state-of-the-art models on top of it using Harshini speech recognition model and Azure's OpenAI. So these capabilities allows us to understand language, transcribe it, translate it, and also synthesize it back in the form of speech.
चाचा यू जुगलबंदी है, यहाँ पे हम लिख के भी और बोल के भी कुछ भी जो हमें स्कीम चाहिए, सरकारी योजना है, उनके बारे में जानकारी ले सका।
मैं किसान हूँ, मुझे सरकारी योजना कैसे प्राप्त हुई?
मेरा नाम जुगलबंदी है। मैं एक असिस्टेंट हूँ जो आपकी सरकारी योजना के बारे में जानने में और उसके लिए एनरोल करने में आपकी मदद करूंगी।
तो वहाँ से हमें लिखित में भी और ऑडियो में भी दोनों तरीके से जवाब आया, और किस किस डॉक्यूमेंट्स की जरूरत पड़ती है और किस किस फॉर्म की जरूरत पड़ती है।
The Ministry of Electronics and IT in the country has been working on this for the last 5 years now. And when ChatGPT was launched, that was really the catalyst for us being able to bring these pieces together. We've been able to categorize the diversity of India as an innovation opportunity. And if you're able to do that successfully, you're able to do it for the world.
This is possible in our scenario also. Millions can be given assistance to have justice. This is another innovation is taking place in Kerala. Our e-post office is bridging digital, where you don't require sending a notice by registered post or through a process server. In Kerala, of course, this is now only available in Trivandrum. On a click of button, a lawyer can pay the process. The post office of the Trivandrum National Capital, they would download and put in an envelope and serve and respond to the High Court within 24 hours. So on our dashboard, we can see that service affected or not, and we can track that they follow the same pattern for the speed post. So on a click of button, they download it and put in our envelope and serve and respond to us. So how effective it is, because we have a system in place. E-post office is quite good, but we are not utilizing it. We said that we already shown, this is our live streaming. We don't want to use YouTube and make comments. We are only using our own website, which would live telecast full bench cases and other large bench cases. This is another innovation in the Kerala. You can go to the, I'll share the link with your professor here. Anybody they'll get daily updates of judgments of the Kerala High Court free of cost. On the click, you will get the judgment in this daily basis, all the reported judgments in the WhatsApp. So it's a free. You don't need to subscribe any Kerala journal for the report. If you are subscribed in WhatsApp channel, you get all the judgments on a click. On the click the mouse, you will get the judgment. But you see that URL in the down. So this is judgment. As simple as that. Daily updates. All the reported judgment, which is marked as a CR, it will be available in your. Next. This is a recent innovation. We have a very customized video conferencing platform. Some of you might have experience. I don't know, Murari had experience with online. It's a vControl. It's award-winning software of the central government. But they customize for the court. Moment a lawyer will be dragged into the court based on the cost list. So what he need to is just log in with the credentials. Once his case comes up, he will be dragged into the court. So on the same platform, we built ODR mechanism now. You can play that video. I don't know if this video is working. You may not, weekend, so sorry. I'll have to ask my secretary for my password and all. She only knows my password. Otherwise, it is saved otherwise in my system. So this is one customized for Kerala. So we'll be using it for all the courts and mediation centers. So parties can come online from any part of the country, and they can have interactions. Once the draft, agreement is drawn, it is visible, then they can agree, and final settlement also can be drawn. Whatever the means recognized under the IT Act, that can be used for putting their signature, that Aadhaar based or otherwise. So once that is signed, it has become an award online. This is the last slide I want to show you. Youngsters. You could recognize, what is this? This is a story of a real bridge. What you can make out? Youngsters, it is something somewhere in South America, I believe it's Honduras. So when they built the bridge, they thought river will flow under beneath of it. By passage of time, it drifted away. Same thing would happen to you. You all think the world would be like this, like the bridge. One day, and they will drift away from you. And this bridge has become useless. So you are also likely to become useless unless we have a futuristic mind. You have to think about future. Without any futuristic mind, you can't survive. We generation are lucky. We have a very limited space and we were able to thrive ourselves. But young generation can't survive unless they adapt themselves and they are futuristic. So this is a great message for all of you. The last thing I want to show you my dashboard. If you have a laptop, you can turn it. Can be connected again? Yeah. Kerala is perfect. Even otherwise, phone, yeah. We can take that page. Okay. Kerala is perfect. This one? Yeah, I can find that. Yeah, we take this one. Like this. This is my my dashboard, it's a virtual office for me. There are similar dashboard to lawyers. It's a virtual office for them, but I don't have a credential of any lawyers, so I'm not in position to show it. But I can show my dashboard. Look at capture correctly. I can't see it. Capture correctly. 22796. No, this is my landing page. My case listed on Monday. I can see here judgment orders, interim orders. I can look at my on their files here. I can pass short orders by speech to text. You can see it on the left side. The case listed, reported judgment, adjournment collector, roster. My office communications. My assessment of my the PAs and PSS, my journals. You can see that what are the journals I can. This is a disposal chart. All that I need in a physical environment, I can get it. See that Kerala recently have a benefit of 5 more judges. See that kind of this is what file 669. So you can see that Kerala's disposal in last month 7,000. The place clearance ratio has gone up. You can get all this, whatever the things I need. My Chief Justice also have a very customized. So if I want to look at my pendency, I have 1,248 cases. This is my disposal. Of course, I have another disposal as acting Chief Justice. That is a different dashboard. This is my review petitions, condemned matters that reflect 34. If I look at, I want to see my cases in my courtroom, see the type of cases pending before me, service, state government. So if you want, click at this button, 74, I get all the details. All this available for me. So if I ask my court officer or listing officer, put all these old cases first, I can. So it's a virtual office for me. This is my case listed. Tomorrow, 23/11, 25. Number 25? I think so. So I can access my files anywhere within India. Not a bit slow, but it will show it. all the cases before. See, no, they don't have. The repetition is coming before me in Monday online means view mode because there are old files, so I can look at it, annotate, click, interim orders, judge note, all that I can do it in this. Small interim orders I can pass speech to text, and if I can digitally sign, the moment I sign, it go to the cross to the dashboard of a lawyer. So we are far ahead of in developing software, but still long way to go. So these are all the cases now coming before me on Monday. All the PDF view, different type of view I can have it, judge note I can have it, annotate. So I don't want to show the what is the case because it might be affecting someone. So these are all, I mean, similar thing is available for the lawyers. They do have a dashboard. So they know that what are the type of cases posted today, tomorrow, next day, and next within a month or whatever. They get the calendar of all their cases. So these are the some of development. I tried to live up to your expectation. Hope it might be useful. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you for the insightful lecture, sir. I'm sure the audience has gained significant perspectives on digitalization of courts. It's now time for a quick Q&A session with the audience. I kindly request a student volunteer to assist in passing the microphone. Audience, if you have any questions, please raise your hands. Students, let us kindly request decorum in the room, ensuring that we maintain a respectful and conducive environment for learning and discussion. Thank you for your cooperation.
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon, Lord. Good afternoon, Lordship. The lecture was really enlightening, but my question particularly is, so as we are in the age of digitization and AI is taking over, people are using AI in judiciary as well for research purposes as of now, but the main focus is on how to make judiciary better use AI. But my question is, if AI is employed in the judiciary, particularly for writing judgments, then won't it essentially lack the human emotion that judges have, the human touch that judges get to have with the litigants? And how do we deal with those kind of challenges from the bench side, from the side of the bench?
I think you asked a very pertinent question. That's what I was discussing last week, my fellow colleagues and IT team, that we need to have a policy in place whether judge has used AI in what extent. AI can write judgments, certain level, certain extent. For example, if you put all the information, if you want draft, habeas corpus, it will draft. If you want ask them to prepare an order, it will use. But there is no, if you use that and depend entirely on AI, then it's really a question on the propriety of judgment, because you are surrendering your own will to that. But using AI as assistance for using rephrasing your things or for research, yes, it is relevant, but not in a way of writing judgment. Because now in every judgment, it reflects a subconscious mind of a human personality, which AI do not possess. AI is not having subconscious element in the sense, and that's a big challenge for all of us that we need to realize. even in AI generative, of course, there's this thing that it can also be fixed with the subconscious mind. But justice is ultimately comes out of human subconscious mind, identifying himself with the idea of justice. The virtue is an element. The values is elements, different elements. Empathy is a factor. So these are all composition of justice. So I don't think a judge can compound AI, but they can use the level of assessment, prepare a judgment, order a judgment. So we'll have to bring a policy if we want to know how a judge used, what extent. So we want to bring a policy in place. It's like academic students now can make a thesis or what to AI. Now the teacher's task is to whether to find out whether students have used, yeah. And there was a US jurisdiction, they created judgment itself and cited as a precedent. Gone to that level, you can create your own judgment and say this is the judgment of Supreme Court.
Morning, Your Lordship. So, I had recently attended a conference in NLU, Trichy, with regards to what is the role of UN and the role of international law. And one of the prominent discussions that came up was, we are at a point where the world is discussing on dialogues of what is the accountability and liability of artificial intelligence. There have been cases where there is weaponization of artificial intelligence that is happening, and where does the judiciary stand with regards to liability and accountability of technology, and what is the role that we as members of the judiciary can play in it?
There are judiciary have no role in shaping those things. The sense it's for the legislature to think about it first of all. But we have a big challenge in terms of defining accountability in the law. Because traditionally, how we look at it is how the tort law developed in the different jurisdiction. It's not now, it's not a legislative policy, but it's based on the tradition, practice, and prudence. To look at how you're going to fix those norms in the scenario of technology. For example, when driverless cars operate and commits an accident, the network or programming might have been made some other places. It might have used in satellite navigation. So there is no test called prudence test in that. And negligence, which is essentially related to prudence test. A common man and a prudent man would have acted in a particular manner. So what kind of norms we are going to develop? That's where the judiciaries and academic have think about it. For example, similar thing would happen, a robot doctor commits any mistake. Which principles are we going to follow? You can't fix this, what is that, Bolton test, what is it, Bolton test or Bolton test, which kind of peer evaluation, which think that doctors' negligence will have to find out a peer evaluation. No company would divulge that program details. So what kind of principles, likely to, apply? These for the judges and academics have to think. New ideas will have to generate out of it. New jurisprudence will have to evolve. You can't fix same norms because AI lacks subconscious mind. So you can't attach same thing attached to be a prudent man. So in that sense, judiciary may have a role evolving new principles of law, like the laws developed in the English system regarding torts. Maybe in this time will tell us.
Sir. It's been a very prestigious moment for a young judicial aspirant like me to talk with you, sir. And I must really apologize for the Vinayaka Mission Foundation for conducting this type of visionary programs to enlighten students of law institutions. And myself, I'm Adhavan from School of Excellence in Law. And I have prepared to ask two questions to my lordship. And the first question should be already asked by that brother. And the second question, in digitalization and programming process, it may be easily approachable and can be a sustainable thing to the state like Kerala and Mizoram with a literacy rate of unquote 96.2 percentage and 91.5 percentage unquote. But comparatively, India by having an average literacy rate of 77.7 percentage, then can it be a significant and convenient approach to the family where smartphones are set as dreams to many of us? And what made you to think that current judicial paper-based system will not pass the survival of the fit test in future, sir? Asking this in a common view, and the justice is meant for everyone, in spite of illiterates and even poor people like many of us. So this is my humble question to you, my lordship.
Yeah, that's what we said. I showed that the Jugalbandi one. It's a great enabler. It's the same thing which could connect to the millions who are not otherwise connected. Not necessarily should own a smartphone. Suppose you set up something in a village office in a remote place or some other public office. People can walk into that space and when they're grievances. So the technology would bridge all this gap. So not necessarily you should own a smartphone or any other gadgets to avail service. It can come in a different form, like what we are doing with using that mobile bus. Similar kind of thing could happen. So it goes from centralized to decentralized structure.
Hi, I'm Ashwani. I'm an assistant professor at VMLS, and so I'm interested in how judges make, how judges decide a case, and what factors sort of goes in their mind, sort of other than just law, right? And you mentioned about live streaming, right? I'm very sort of interested in how sort of whether live streaming of cases affects judges in terms of when they're making a decision, in terms of the fact that you are being live streamed, right? The fact that public will see you, right? I don't know whether that goes in your mind, the fact that, okay, you are visible, you're not just in the court, but across the country, wherever they can sort of listen to you, right? And maybe it differs from matter to matter, like if it's a more sensitive matter, you might be sort of more sort of, and because that is also human, right? You are interested in sort of seeing how people who are watching you live would perceive your, what you were saying in court. Like, so does it affect what you could sort of, how you sort of convey, right?
No, some of maybe playing in galleries, some may not be. That happens, they are all human beings. But I don't think a judge would have a time to think about it because he is dealing with the kind of cases in a
One
day.
more question.
That is the reason some of them make comments that comes to the level of action initiative report. So these are all judges mostly are not aware of it. They're caught unaware of it sometimes. So judges, you have to understand, all human. They're all fallible. They need to be corrected if they commit a mistake. But generally, they are not very conscious that it's being watched. Even otherwise, you walk into the courtroom, anybody can walk to the courtroom. It's an open space. So maybe, I don't know, very, very minuscule people might be very conscious about it. They are appearing in, YouTube or whatever. In that sense, they may be very conscious, but it will not affect anyway the administration of justice.
Judges are provided with a list where they can tick, okay, what factors they are considering in terms, let's say, mitigating factor or aggravating factors, right? So they already have a portal where you could upload what factors that we want to conclude. We have to include these factors into account, and based on that they get an account of, okay, the sort of the AI or the sort of the digital record will tell you that, okay, this is the punishment that you would fit for that. So do you think that, like, maybe our laws also need to be sort of changed, tweaked to sort of, you could say, to sort of reduce judicial discretion in that account?
I don't think it is quite reliable. If you look at the literature that's come up against Compass, Compass is a tool in the US. A lot of criticism against it because it shown bias against blacks, though race was not a factor. But it is used for recidivism in a sense. But ultimately, the Compass is an AI application, and people raise a lot of criticism against. You look at it, COM, EAS is a composite in the US system. So means if you are surrendering your discretion to factors which could be otherwise gathered beyond your human mind, that make critical in deciding. So your discretion, it's your discretion. Look at what are the mitigating factors as a judge, you look at it. Going beyond it, it may create a problem, even using AI to that extent for sentencing policies. Very difficult.
Sir,
We'll have one final question from the audience.
sir, there is also a live verse. I am asking this question on behalf of Mr. Suresh from Chennai. The question is about the legal challenges and initial challenges Kerala High Court in implementing the 24/7 on courts initiative and how are they overcome?
There was no challenge to the initiation of 24 discount because that is the reason. But we had a big challenge when we introduced e-filing throughout the state way back in 3 years ago. So what I did as a computer committee chairman, I had a back-to-back meeting with all the bar associations. And every day I would meeting with them. I converse with them. I make them that how it's good for you all. So I convinced them. Back-to-back meeting with almost 150 bar association, day-to-day basis. I had a dialogue with all the members of Kerala High Court. And I think only way of we can convince people through dialogue. The moment you create a feeling that it's coming as a will or from the authority of the judges, no lawyer going to accept it. Take them on board, have a dialogue with them, impress them. They will accept it. No lawyer would turn against it. You know the Kerala, there is a state, perhaps only the state who went on strike or protest for the computerization. It's always volatile. People are very conscious of right. They would be up against any new things. But we are back-to-back meeting with all bar associations. Even every month, I hold a meeting with all my nodal office in district and I try to understand their problem. The first Wednesday, I spare on 9:45 to 10:50 for that. I talk to them nodal office and they are to talk with all the bar. And every Thursday in the first of every month, we used to have dialogue with the bar association in Kerala High Court. We used to have dialogue with the clerks. We brought them on board. So nobody would be against you unless you create a feeling that we are superior and they are inferior, they have to accept it. That's a problem of mindset. Everybody is ultimately want things to happen. The way in which we communicate, that is matters for all of us. That is all.
Thank you for being a patient audience. As we draw to close on this insightful discourse on the digitization of courts, enriched by the experience from Kerala Judiciary, I now invite Mr. Tathagat Sharma, Assistant Professor of Law, Vinayaka Mission's Law School, to conclude the session by delivering the closing remarks and the vote of thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, a huge round of applause for Justice Mustaque's we thank the Honorable Justice Mustaque for gracing this occasion and showering us with the unwavering experience that he has had at the Kerala High Court. As we conclude this profoundly enlightening session, we stand inspired and invigorated by Justice Mustaque's insights on digitization and use of technology in the judiciary. His illuminating exploration of Kerala's pioneering initiative, particularly the 24/7 on courts, showcases how innovation and determination can transform justice delivery into a seamless, inclusive, and efficient system. We are particularly indebted to Dr. Archana Ganeshan, Dr. A.S. Ganeshan, Mr. Suresh Samuel, and Dr. Julian Francis for their unwavering commitment to innovation and excellence at Vinayaka Mission's Research Foundation. We are further indebted to Mr. Anthony Julian for his mentorship and dedication towards the Center for Justice Through Technology. We thank Dr. Anand Padmanabhan, the Dean of Vinayaka Mission's Law School, for his inspiring leadership and visionary guidance, and Ms. Shinjini Sen and Ms. Amrita Nambia for the meticulous and passionate efforts that they put into the functioning of Center for Justice Through Technology. We further thank the Madras Management Association for their invaluable partnership and steadfast support in promoting impactful knowledge sharing sessions like this. And to all the remarkable individuals, my colleagues, and all the organizations and the support staff at the Vinayaka Mission's Law School, our deepest gratitude in enabling these kind of meaningful dialogue goes out to you. Justice Mustaqe's discussion brings me to Supreme Court's observation in State of Maharashtra versus Praful B. Desai, when the court said that the advancement of science and technology is to be welcome and not to be feared. Kerala's 24/7 online courts and the digitalization initiative we explored today embody the essence of the principle, proving that justice need not be confined to physical spaces or rigid timelines. The future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. A quote popularized by William Gibson, through the strides Kerala has made in digitizing courts, we see the glimpse that the future where accessibility, efficiency, and innovation are no longer distant ideals but living realities. This further echoes to one of my favorite quotes from the movie Avengers, where they said technology is not just about what we build but what we believe. Today we believe in a judiciary empowered by technology to deliver justice more efficiently, inclusively, and fairly. Let us take this moment and the lessons forward with renewed resolve, envisaging a future where technology becomes an unwavering ally in our pursuit of justice. Thank you all for your time, energy, and engagement in this vital discourse. We look forward to seeing you at the next lecture in this exciting series. Wish you a safe journey and a wonderful day ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I request all of you to kindly stand up for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
I take this opportunity to thank each one of you for gracing this occasion with warm presence. Good evening.